Alrighty. Welcome to part 2 of definitely meant to be a template project. Let's go double check, make sure things have started. Yay. Okay. Let us see. Already got pulled up the task list. Like, there's not too much to do given that we had a long bug yesterday, but today will hopefully go better. Give some people some time to trickle in, time to go get water, take a quick bio break or other things if they needed, and then we'll get into it. Let's see. My mouse is acting up because I put stuff on. Excellent. Reasons why you should always keep your desktop clean, because you keep finding weird things interfering with it. Alrighty. Yes, it is. This is meant to be more of a skeleton in case you wanted to use ChatGPT in future hackathon projects, but I really wanted to get a lot of people past some common projects that I see at events that I go to, which, not to say that there's anything wrong with that, but that I was curious if given a good starter or a good enough starter that people could really go beyond what I was seeing last season. And so that's kind of why I did it, but also in case people were wondering what was a popular project last season, now they can kind of work through it, get the concepts, and go on and do something else. But yes, we are doing this in Flask just because that's what I predominantly work with. I found out yesterday there's something called Fast API, which is like the new alternative to Flask, which awesome. I'll go and figure that out and look into that when I have some more time, hopefully in a few more weeks, but we'll see. Hello again, my star helper from yesterday. Thank you so much for all your help yesterday, Gray Sheep. Definitely would not have made as much progress and would not have had as much support in chat without you, so I appreciate it. I am glad, Kat, that you are not in class, because that would be a little bit disrespectful to your teacher, but like every class has its own culture, has its own things going on. I'm literally clearing my desk right now because I'm like, I can't work in these conditions. We must clean the pet enclosure, etc. Yeah, it's been that kind of day. But I've given it a couple minutes. Probably, if you have a chance, go grab water, tea, coffee, whatever it is you need. I'm really hoping to make a lot of progress to get a pretty functional project today. I mean, we had a functional project, it just didn't do what we wanted, but we figured it out. And yeah, seems like it might be a little bit quiet in chat today, which no biggie, we'll get into it. But for those who are joining for the first time today, what we did yesterday was we set up our Flask app. I'm going to pull it up really here. All right, so we set up our Flask app, loaded up the API, but didn't actually call the API for ChatGPT, and set up our template so we can actually have a chat session with ChatGPT by using templating HTML through GHW, which is how we can add like variables or use conditionals depending on what we want to render, etc. So we also have this on GitHub. I'll go ahead and go grab that link for everybody in case you want to go ahead and fork it. I know a couple of you did. I'm curious though, did anyone get a chance to work on it yesterday after stream, or today before stream, and do anything different? If not, I mean, I'll bring it up next stream in case anybody mentions it, but we should actually be fairly done, presumably, for now with the HTML side of things. I'm going to go ahead and close those. And let me go grab the repo link for people in case they're joining and they want to follow along, because now we have GitHub code. And then I'm also going to go ahead and grab the event link in case you haven't checked in. I realize I shared it just a tad bit late. Looks like people in chat are meeting up with old friends. Love to see it. But yeah, so let's get into today. So today we were actually going to integrate ChatGPT. Despite that being yesterday's goal, life happens. And I'm going to go ahead and uncomment that. No questions. Oh, and then I think there might not be anyone new joining in stream today based on what I'm seeing so far, but just in case, just as a reminder, I love having feedback from chat of like, hey, why aren't you using this thing? Or hey, have you tried this other thing? Or hey, I noticed this bug. Like maybe you should fix it. Catching those means a better stream for all of us because it means that I actually don't get stuck on a bug for an hour. But at the same time, I recognize that while I may have good concept knowledge, I'm kind of out of date as far as like libraries and like different alternatives out there, just because I don't code all the time anymore, thanks to my current degree. Um, so that means that you have an opportunity to be the expert. And so I greatly encourage like all of us sharing knowledge and learning together, and coming away with a successful project that we've all done together. So all I have to say is chat is a safe place. Please keep it that way. Ask questions. Feel free to answer questions if you happen to know the answer. Um, take care of yourself, yada, yada. Cool. Just trying to soak it all in, man. I wish I could soak it all in. Wish I could be on the other side, just soaking it all in. Despite me being a PhD student, I do in fact not know anything. Becoming a PhD student has made me realize how much I don't know. And the reality is, I probably still don't know how much I don't know. But being okay with not knowing means that you're open minded and willing to learn, which is kind of the best way to go about learning things. I also have Copilot enabled, by the way. And what that means is every so often we'll get some suggestions from Copilot. Sometimes it will be wrong, sometimes it won't, but it'll greatly help us along. As we saw from yesterday, I think it may have contributed to our bug because we assumed it was correct and did not look further at it. To be fair, my reference material, which is my cheat sheet, which is the functioning version of the project that got the basic gist down without looking pretty, also had the same mistake, rip, but it'd be like that. So I have that up as my cheat sheet. But I don't expect to have to knock on wood. I don't expect to have too many issues today. I actually think we'll blaze through it pretty quickly, and then we can talk more about what we want to adapt this to become. And that's kind of what I want you thinking about throughout this stream. Is like, okay, like we have ChatGPT working inevitably. We have a template. We're rendering chat messages. Like, what do we do with this? How do we actually make this a project that could be like a star project in a hackathon? And so usually that's adapting ChatGPT, preceding it and giving it a role, and then having it do specific things, whether it's becoming a chatbot, reviewing resumes, or helping you train for interviews, or all sorts of things. And while I've seen those ideas, we're not actually going to do those because I've seen those ideas, and I want to challenge you to think of something new and unique for yourself. But let me make sure I can still see chat. My PhD is in hackathons. I am trying to finish this year. Yeah, that's the very short version, very not technical version. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it in past streams, so if you happen to go looking, which, your mileage may vary on the quality of the stream, depending on what we're doing. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Just double checking what I have so that we can go over it today. Yeah. Okay. So with using ChatGPT, just calling the client like this really won't do anything. We want to call the completions route. And so to do that, we want to create an instance of ChatGPT, and we also want to call it. So I'm going to actually go copy this as a little bit of a cheat sheet, and we'll talk more about what this function's actually doing to really get into like what it all means and how we can use it. And the only reason I'm cheating on this one is I'm like, I'd like to like speed us up a little bit given how far we got behind on, especially when I have this reference. And I'm like, but we should also talk about like what's going on. And because I think that's pretty important. All right. And then we don't need this anymore. That's just me playing around with things. All right. So I've pasted this function in that we're gonna ignore those comments for a bit. Where I've pasted in this function that's called the chat completion function. I did, in fact, put the check-in link. I'll pin it, though. Oh, no, the stream is freezing. I'm so sorry. Well, hopefully you get to watch it later in, like, all its unfreezing glory. But I try to be very explanatory, come back to things, make sure it all links up in the end. So hopefully you will get the whole picture, even if not the whole signal. Right. So we already have this is like the how it's going to work, right? So if we're on the index page and we're like, hey, let's submit a question and have it get something, we will be sending a post request because we want to do things to it. Not necessarily a get, although we can choose accordingly. For whatever, I kind of feel like I actually might be doing it wrong, and that's maybe a Google question for me later tonight. But what we're doing is we've gotten a question from a form that we have in the HTML side, and then we're rendering, depending on whether it's a post request or not. We are either rendering just the indexed HTML, which will tell us, hey, there's no answer. It also gives us the form. Or we actually render what someone has asked. And so what we're going to be doing is replacing this section, where instead of looking for what the question was, we're going to be getting an answer. And so once we get to this point, we're like, all right, we want to call another function, which will be our chat completion function, sort of. So there's pieces that are missing that I'm obfuscating for now, because again, I want you to understand at the very least that you would be able to recreate this and really know what's going on. So there are different ways to use the chat completions function, and there are other functions that you can use with the ChatGPT API. Which if you go through documentation, they'll be like, oh, you can do chatbots, or I think they're called like assistants or something. And then you can do chat completions, which is what we're doing, which is like the bare bones ChatGPT functionality that you see when you log into OpenAI and just ask it questions. So we're mimicking that service, but we might like control it for someone to have a more optimized experience. There are different models that you can choose for different costs, of course. And so for right now, I'm just using the 3.5 Turbo because like I could use 4.0 or 4.0 Mini, but I just felt more comfortable using 3.5 Turbo. I know there's some thoughts, some articles, some things where people are not as happy with ChatGPT's latest models, whether they're inaccurate, whether they're giving you garbage, a variety of different things could be coming up. And so I was like, well, 3.5 Turbo seems to be the stable one where people are kind of still okay with it. It may not be the most accurate, but we're just getting a feel for things. And then there's all these parameters that we can add to it, where if we hover over it, there's like sampling temperature, which I will go Google because I don't actually know, or maybe that's something that we can ask ChatGPT once we set it up locally for us. Then we have penalty based on new tokens. We have a frequency penalty, more tokenist adaptions, and then we have the max number of tokens that can be generated in the chat. And this can be pretty good because sometimes you ask ChatGPT a question and you don't set like a limit or a skeleton, and it just goes. And it sends you a very long chat, which can be great, but could be a lot to read. And depending on where you are, how tired you are, how much you know or don't know about the subject, that can be pretty overwhelming. And so considering the maximum number of tokens, that's why we kind of set an upper limit. Now, as a developer, setting limits is also really helpful because APIs will charge you money the more you use them. So limiting how many results you get instead of like getting all the results, we're getting a subset. Think of it like in that regard, just scoping it as far as like, hey, I paid money for this API. I put $10 in. It's like going to take me so far because ChatGPT is so cheap. However, I would still like to be using it in moderation. All right. And then we have the messages themselves. So we can put in some initial messages to precede ChatGPT, which is what's going on here, of sorts. But you can add more to it. If, let's say, we didn't really have these messages, maybe we just had whatever the user was sending, or we only had like the one message at a time, we wouldn't actually have history. Now, I know currently ChatGPT does allow for like context across chat messages now, which I find weird. I actually really like the isolated aspects. To find that they're actually allowing for this, I'm not a huge fan. But as far as what we're doing, depending on what we're doing, maybe we do want history or maybe we don't. And that's what's going on here, is that every time we're adding in a system role, we're giving it content with its preceded understanding of things, or like the role that we told it was going to use, and then we're giving it history. And so this can vary from API usage to person usage to documentation, etc. This is just how this one is set up. That's not to say this is the end all be all, you must do this every single time. It really depends on what your project is. For the purposes of our project, which is that we want to have context, we want to have like a conversation between the AI and ours, this makes sense for us. But as like a personal challenge to you, you're welcome to, after the stream, go off and go like, well, how else can I use this? How else can I set up this messages box, right? And so this is like the basic gist of this very long parameterized function here that we're using to access ChatGPT. Then we actually get the response itself, where once this function resolves or completes, gives us a message, we get an output, we get all this data. There are more parameters we could use, which let's see if it'll show up. As you can see, there's quite a lot of things that it can do, which great. We get more information about this. This is a really nice feature of Visual Studio Code where you can read more about the libraries that you've imported. And so maybe I might want to change other things about it, whether it's, let's see. Maybe I want to change the response format. Where it tells me maybe I want a JSON schema, maybe I want something else, but it also gives me a link to what I might be curious about. So that said, we now somewhat understand conceptually how this works. Cool. Could we understand more? Yeah. Do we need to? Not right now. And that's okay. But this is fairly standard from what I understand from my Googling. So is there a boilerplate? Sort of. Like it's a there's a set of parameters you tend to use, which is going to be the model and the messages at bare minimum. Do you need these things? No. Should you have them? Wouldn't hurt, to be honest. And you can play around with these parameters as you like, too, and see how it changes the answers you're getting for the same questions that you're asking. How will we learn all the things? I was once upon a time told by a fellow PhD student who has since graduated and become a doctor, yay, congrats to them, that I could not, in fact, learn everything in the world. I would die before I did. And I did not like this answer. And so I just learn whatever you want. Have fun. Yeah, so we are setting up ChatGPT in Flask with the intent of creating a skeleton project for your hackathon season where, let's say you want to use ChatGPT, and I want you to challenge yourself to go beyond a simple project of just like, how do you seed a prompt and customize it for a user experience? Not like I'm sick and tired of seeing those projects, but I want to challenge you to go beyond those simplistic projects. So here's a simple project that will bounce you up further and farther. All right. Any other new questions? Yeah. So we are using Flask, which is Python. We're using HTML and CSS. We could use JavaScript, not necessarily Node, but that depends on how we want to work with the HTML side of things. That would be more on the rendering side. If we were to use JavaScript, like maybe I wanted like animations or something, but that's for later. Probably stream for the third part of the workshop, if that. Sorry, it's dry in here. Probably if that. Not particularly pressured to make this look pretty because I recognize that this is more about learning how to use ChatGPT as far as an API goes. Whether we do anything after that, we'll see about time. I will say I am a bit tired today, so if I do silly things, like make silly mistakes, catch them if you can. And if things don't make sense because I haven't done a great job explaining, ask me, please. And if I don't know, we're going to go Google it together. But yeah. Okay, so we have the chat completion. Does that mean I go straight to question and then say, call the function, pass in all the stuff? No, there's a little bit more involved because I want to create clean functions. Yes, we're at a hackathon. We should be doing things speedy. Nah. There's a healthy balance you should strike in making code that you can use in the future, and so on. But let's go pull up my cheat sheet because I don't remember. Right, I I want a function called getChat. That's what I was doing. So we're going to say getChat. I'm going to pass in question. We're going to change this to answer. And I'm also going to leave a note to myself. Remember to update HTML. And this is answer. And the reason we're updating these things is because I want this to be readable by all of you and anything else, anyone else who wants to read this after the fact. Because if I say answer, then oh, of course I'm going to oh, wait, this should still be question actually. I'm changing this to answer because I want it to be readable. So I'm getting the question from the form, but I also want to get the answer from the chatbot. Now this function getChat does not exist yet. Let's see what Copilot's going to give us. Okay, so right off the bat, Copilot has given us getChat, take the user input, which is that question. Now this is making a function that we could actually use to make multiple variations. Awesome. It's given a role, the explicit input, the chat history, and right off the bat, it knows that it's actually going to be calling that chat completion, which cool, good start. Love that. I see the question in chat saying, do I still have VS Code pets? Yes, I do. I do. I kept that. I play with it occasionally. All right. Gosh, it is so dry today. I'm waiting for that tea to kick in, and I'm so tired. Okay. Okay, so right now it's calling these things. Let's go ahead and run it, see if it works. This is not the complete function that we want to use, because if we want to actually store chat history, there's a couple ways we can probably do that. Whether it's that we save it in a file, save it in a dictionary, save it in an array, all sorts of different data structures that could be of use to you. But depending on the history, do you also want to save like timestamps? Particularly if you're rendering something. Like, for example, a lot of tutorials I see with regards to using ChatGPT as a chatbot involves keeping the timestamps of messages. Even though the order will relatively be the same, maybe it's that you just want to like capture the system time. And that can be nice when you're working with the AI bot of your customer service things and whatnot. But yeah, 404 was at one of the Today in Global Hack Weeks I hosted. I haven't seen them since though. Oh, I actually thought Dimmer would have known about VS Code pets, but I'm so glad that they had the same exact reaction I did. Even though Global Hack Week is ending, there's always next month, and there's also, I'm pretty sure, an upcoming digital event. What are pets? VS Code pets. They're adorable. I can add more pets. I would like a dog. And I would like, ooh, Akita. They can be Marley. I don't mind the names. They're so cute. Look at them. And then you can throw a ball at them. Isn't that cute? And then one of them will catch it, and you can like wave at them, and then they'll try and fight you. Okay, sorry, distraction. This is why I don't actually keep it open, because I get really distracted by them. Just kind of not ideal. But it's an extension apparently that you can go get on VS Code. My actual pet is not in the window today. She is sleeping in her cat tree outside right now. Like not outside, but like across the house. Okay, so I said we were going to test this. Gosh, I am so dragging. Class. Oh, it's not going to work in here because I didn't set that up, and that's fine. Let me do things. Okay. And I did actually set up the refresh on it, but I don't know that it will. I don't know how it works because I didn't have time to research it, but this is what we ended up with yesterday. We have it telling us to ask ChatGPT. I have it zoomed in to incredible levels to ensure that you all can read things. But I'm going to send in like, I have a question. I apparently can't spell. And so I think it's thinking / it didn't actually send it. It might be thinking. It might not be thinking. It's not thinking. That's okay. But again, we were just seeing like, well, what happens if we just dump in stuff, right? I'm actually going to give it a roll. Let's give it a wiki roll is equal to you are a knowledgeable Wikipedia user. You know all the different topic pages on Wikipedia. Well, we should also turn on wrap because I would like to read this. View appearance, was it? No, here it is. I always forget. You can provide information on a topic in a brief summary. Users will... Okay, this seems repetitive, but I like that Copilot is coming up with different things to see the prompt. Let's go and delete that because those do the same thing. Of no more than 5 sentences on the topic. So we have a limit. We also have the token limit. That's fine. But we've given it some information. So we have our wiki roll, right? Now let's come back here where we actually need to add the role here, where this is bad, but that's okay. Role is going to be wiki role. Technically, it's a global variable, but we're going to deal with that later. If I were being particular about my coding method, I might actually define the role here. And which could be a way to scope things, where maybe each get method or get post or each render might have a different role involved, in which case then I can use the function effectively. But for now, we're gonna ignore it for right now. But we've passed in the role. I actually don't think I did it correctly. There's the prompt. So I think this is actually the wiki prompt, or like more about what it is. What I do want to do is replace this with wiki role is equal to wiki, just because I want it to be a dictionary entry. Role, make that more versatile, then we can get rid of that. And then as far as input, explicit input should just be the user input. There's a reason we made this function, by the way. We wanted to get chat history, and so that's what we need to work on now. But let me go pull chat up because I didn't do that. Okay, so we have some updated values in this. Let me also pull this up because I didn't save that. And then change the size on this. Oh, goodness. All right. What did we save that to be? Why does this exist here if not to be? What is this, actually? I'm wondering why I have a weird variable that I barely use in this. We may not actually need explicit input. I don't know why it's being used this way. I think I may have not formally finished something. It's fine. Because user input. Weird. All right, that's fine. We'll let that be. So we have user input and role. Let's get rid of this one. We don't need that. I don't know why I have an extra of that. Conversation history. So that's the only thing we need to fix. Yeah, okay. So I was mentioning that there are multiple ways to do chat history. So we'll do them a couple different ways because I want to show how you can do it differently, which is that we're going to need to create a file if we want to do it the file way, where that way we can actually retain history, where maybe we want to see what the conversation was for whatever reason. This might be a form of data collection depending on how you do things. And the like. I'm also going to eat lunch because I was in the middle of eating lunch before I started the stream. Because it is lunchtime. Okay, so chat history. So if we wanted to save chat history, we would need to create a file. And we would need to then open the file, write it in, and then keep adding to it as we go. And so the simple way, we know that we're going to, every time we call get chat, we're going to add to it. So we should instead do like a plus equals. And so right off the bat, Copilot's giving us some stuff where like maybe we want the user, we want the role, and we want the response. Do we have the response yet? Not really. So we can use part of it. So we know that we're adding this history to our input. And we're adding it to what exists already. So that means that chat history needs to exist already, which is like, if we do it from a file, that means we need to open the file and save that file content to a variable that might be global. If we wanted to do this as like an array or dictionary or other, then that would be a different setup. So what that means is I don't want to do a file anymore because of the global variable, but that's okay. So we're coming up here and we're going to make that chat history where it's going to have nothing in it. And then we're going to come back here and now we have at least the user part of it. We also know we're going to have to add the role in the response to chat history whenever we are adding the bot's response or ChatGPT's response. So now we have some basics. We have that when a user replies, add in some things. When the chatbot replies, add in the chatbot reply. Could chat history be better in a database? That is a really good question, or a dictionary. Both good points. I would say, depending on my use case, it is rare that I would prefer to use a database, unless I wanted to save multiple users' history over time. Or maybe, so in the case of let's say current interactions with ChatGPT on their website, they probably do use a database to have things contained over time. Because it gets kind of expensive to save, close, reopen files and add to them, especially given the rate at which people are probably using ChatGPT. For our purposes, this being scalable, small, skeleton project for a beginner hackathon project even, a file actually makes the most sense because we're not worried too much about scalability as much as a full-fledged product. A database might be something to try out if someone wanted to learn how to use it, but it might be that the database is actually used for something else. Maybe that in working with ChatGPT, they want to use the database and say oh, when a user says save something or when they are using it for other purposes and ChatGPT is a supplement, then that would be different. But yes, you are right. It's going to keep appending. And for, again, our purposes of this being a basic QA for a single user, for right now, this makes sense. And this is where considering these different pathways to quote unquote success or project success involves thinking about these things, depending on what you want to do with it. In our case, maybe I just want a history, in which case I want a file I can access after I've closed the server or during. But if I quote unquote don't care, which is to say currently I don't care, I would do a file, I would do a dictionary, because the reality is I'm not going to keep this server running long enough, or this project running long enough, that I would need to warrant a database or anything more complex than a dictionary. Honestly, I would probably actually stick to an array, which I might do, or even just a really long string, which is gross. Don't get me wrong, these are gross solutions. But it's does it achieve what I need? Yes, potentially. Is it going to suck? Probably. Would it be easy to adapt it to whatever else I need? Not actually that hard, actually. I don't think, because you would have a lot of the basis here. You have a string that's being formatted. You have a list of strings or however. It's actually pretty easy to write that to a JSON, to a file, etc., to a stream even. So it wouldn't be that hard to adapt it once you have the basic principles of what the data is going to look like as an outcome, which is why I'm doing it a little bit futsy this way. So I'm does it matter? No. Do I mind? No. Etc. But right, so I have chat history. I've done that. Response is not defined. Did I spell response wrong? Why are you telling me it's not defined? And role is being used. Statements must be separated by new lines or semicolon. What? What is going on? Sure, fix it using Copilot. Oh, that's why. Duh. Or maybe not. What have I done wrong? Perhaps something else is going on. So this is why Copilot sometimes sucks, because it's going to tell you you need these things. And it's do you? Do you really? That's another question. Does this work despite this? I'm just double checking to see if things work that way or not. Perhaps it is just yeah. Okay. I think it is that it's just missing. Yeah, there we go. It's just missing. That's fine. What I really wanted was to add a new line, because otherwise we're going to have just jumbled garbage that I don't want to read. I've added a new line character. Why am I so tired? The answer is I didn't get enough sleep last night. I had a very long work day yesterday, and that is impacting me today. It'd be like that. Okay. Chat history is not defined. I did make chat history. Do I need to add a global in front of it? Probably. Global chat history. I don't know why you were doing that. But okay. Oh, weird. Things happened in that. Run Flask. Run simple. Oh, duh. It would help if I put this in the right order. Wow, these are silly mistakes. This is why you get rest, kids. Because then you're like, what am I doing? I promise I'm not following. Yeah, I know. Because we need to fix that, and I haven't gotten around to it. All right. You have sent things. Did you register that things were sent? No, it didn't actually. That's concerning. Oh, we'll come back to that. But let's double check what we got. We have get chat. We pass in the question that's been asked. We say we're looking at the wiki role. Pass in that. Global chat history. We add the user input. Then we get the response, which we need to come back and make sure that actually works. Then we have chat history. Get the response with the role, and we return the response itself. Okay. I would agree. Logging is generally good, but we have reached a gap in my knowledge, which is that usually when I do print statements, it doesn't work. So I'll have to use breakpoints if we get into that. But that's right. I set a reminder, which was to update the HTML. Let's go to that. It's not question, but answer. Don't think this will make a difference. And then I'm pretty sure I have, yes. Okay, server is running. I don't believe it's going to give me anything yet. Interesting. Have we run into another issue? Perhaps. Let me go double check. I'm doing, oh, you know what I'm doing? I got rid of this. I want to see this. Also, we have conversation history. That's fine. We're also not writing this to a file, which is fine. Have we done plus equals? Yes. Okay, let's do breakpoints because that's a good debugging. That's the wrong. That's my cheat sheet. Go ahead and hit send. Interesting. Inspect. Full screen that. So let's go to. What are you yelling at me for? Things I don't understand at this moment that I'm okay with not understanding. Let's go ahead and refresh this. So many things. I just want to make sure things are being sent. Perhaps not. All right. Something else is going on. We're not saving a file. Chat history. Chat history. And then I'm just double checking on my cheat sheet to make sure things are actually what I wanted. I don't need that. I'm not rendering that bit. All right. Did we update this? If answer, yes. Did we change? Answer. We have get chat. We have the user input. We have the role. Even chat history. Get the user input. We're going to humor me, and we're going to see that this still works. I just want to test that I didn't goof something or that the ghost did not change my code and I just am being silly. I could swear that I actually had it set up that this should be updating when I make changes based on the recommendations I got yesterday, but it might actually not be updating. I should still have to restart the server, perhaps. So we're going to do that really quick where I double check if I'm losing it. Get the funny feeling. Yeah, okay. Let's go restart the server. I think that's what's going on. Because even the GET requests aren't being sent, which I find odd. Nothing's changed from yesterday except that we added a few functions. Roll isn't called, that's fine. What's going on? Why are you not? Here we go again. That's okay. I did update this, so let's get rid of that. And we're going to cheat sheet again, and we're going to just go copy my file history stuff to make sure that maybe I didn't do something silly. So let's go copy that. Chat history with some file writing. We'll explain that in a bit. Let's get the full chat. And then let's also comment this out because maybe something happened. Oh, I need the time library for this because that was what I was going to get to, but it's fine. Import time. Okay. And then does anything change in there? Message. Answer. The wiki roll. Let's go to that. Yeah, that's the only thing I got rid of was the explicit input. I guess maybe I needed that. I was curious about whether or not it worked or not, but let's okay, so we have chat history 1. Let's go ahead and do this. Zoom the heck in. Test. Wiki role should be wiki prompt. I'm inclined to agree, but I think there's something else I'm missing with the way that I handled the prompts specifically. I think there's something I'm... I think there's something I missed with something. And yet somehow it still works. My cheat sheet is not a very good cheat sheet. I'm just double checking. And input have role. Role is passed in from chat completion. Chat completion. Role is passed in from here. Wiki got. I didn't actually use the prompt, so perhaps yes. Wiki prompt. Or you know what? Rather than that, let's make the beginning of the chat history the wiki prompt. And let's also move that below where wiki prompt exists, so that way. All right, and then for giggles, let's go there. This breakpoint isn't working. Love that. I think it's because I need to set up some debugger stuff. And then everything's saved. Actually, what isn't saved? Something isn't saved. Or is this just because it's, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. This is saved. Last run. Hello, doggies. They're so cute. And kitty. They're so cute. Sorry. All right. Let's try again. I'm kind of at the point of like, do we just use my cheat sheet and go off that because it works? It doesn't work well, but evidently. Gosh, what am I goofing on? Let's go ahead and print out response while we're at it. Print response message. See if it actually works, because I haven't been getting any print statements, which has been very annoying. And it's not that this is debugging itself anyway, so let's go ahead and get rid of that. Okay. So, sanity check. I have explicit input as nothing. ChatGPT gets the log, which we're writing to the file and putting in the current working directory. This is just for naming the specific file. Then we create the file in the current working directory. Then we write to the file and we open that. Then we have the chat history, where we've added the wiki prompt, where we've seeded it. Not ideal, but whatever. Then we have the output, where we've gone and run this. The only things I've gotten rid of is the explicit input, which perhaps that was needed. Weird. Don't know what it does, but that's the only thing I got rid of. And then where was it else that I got rid of it? It's here. Yes, that's there. Perhaps that's why it's breaking. And then this is, we've made a global name. Did we keep the name function? No, we did not. This should be wiki role, I think, which is role. That's fine. This isn't a global variable, actually, so we don't need to do that. This is role. Role. Okay, so we get the current time and day. We add things to the history that we're tracking. We have getting the raw output. That's fine. We've added the output as a format, and then we write to the file. Then we open the file, write all these things, close it, and we return the original output that we got, the single line, which, to my knowledge, was this message. Output.choices 0. And then when we're calling this, we say get chat, we pass in question and wiki role. Do we pass in anything else? We pass in the question. User input is used in all these places. We pass in the role, which is that we want a wiki bot. And then that's written. Okay, but then going back again to chat completion, we take the user input, which was question originally. We had the role, which was wikibot. We have whatever explicit input is, go figure. And then we pass in the chat history that we've gotten from the file. Okay. One more time. Server is running. Tell me about dogs. I think somebody mentioned checking. Nope, this is right. This is fine. Question. Did I replace something? Question. Passing question. You know what? All right. I've had it, folks. We're doing it. We're cheating. This code works. Which has mostly the same things at this point. I'm really stumped as to why things are not. I'm going to have to do a diff on these later. Oh, that shouldn't change things. Interesting. I haven't had a debugger running on the other one, which it should have, but who knows? All right, let's go back to getting this file up. Let's go ahead and refresh this. Tell me about dogs. Do you work? Interesting. I have broken things, and I don't know how I broke them again. We weren't even doing good. We didn't even get to the original point. What's that? What's going on? What's going on? No, but actually, what's going on? Why is it not? Oh, wait. Could there be something in cache that's interfering? Why are you giving me the old? I have many questions. Why is it giving me a different server? Why are you giving me a different server? You're not giving me my you're not giving me this. Why aren't you giving me this in my URL? What happened? We've added this in. Index has been corrected. Why are you not cooperating? I updated you and you fixed you. Why do you actually have what I need though? URL does not. Okay, there's something going on in cache, clearly. Do I still have something open? Doesn't seem like it. Let's go check my ports. PowerShell. Wait, no, that's not something I should be. Please hold. We're going to debug something else really quick. Do I have next up? I thought I did. I do. Need to run this as administrator. Great. Why are you showing me the old page? Something is wrong. I did indeed, which is why I'm confused as to why this is not working, because this has definitely been shut down. Let's shut down both. And let's also deactivate you. Deactivate you, because I had two ends going on. And then let's try you. If I can find my slash. What do you mean you can't find it? Did I name it something else? Oh, it's just scripts. That's why. That's why I was confused. Scripts. Activate that. Okay. And run. Press run. Interesting. Let's go clear some cache. History. I want to go to my settings actually. Settings. Let's go to ChatGPT. Let's go delete GL. Can I shift select? Yes, good. Let's go delete those. Yes, delete those. I think something in my cache is acting up, which is why this is not cooperating. Because it's not showing me changes. Let's see. Oh, you know what? You know how we can test? Localhost. Let's just go see if there's anything active. By opening localhost, which so far not found. Index. Ah, somebody is still running. But who? Oh, yes, this one, which is fine, but it's also showing me the wrong one, which does not make sense. Q&A. That's for a different URL. That's fine. I just want this one. Index. And index should be... Let's go see if you work now. Oh, no. There is something running. Okay, let's go just... We're just going to go close both of those. Let's go see if it's running now. At least we found out why. Something else is going on. Okay. Aha. Okay. And just because I'm curious, let's Let's make sure it doesn't work. There was a ghost process. Love that. Great. Let's go open Visual Studio again. Ghost process. Visual Studio Code, if I can type. ChatGPT for X. Okay, there's that one. And Visual Studio Code. GPT. Let's go run this one first. This one is running the correct environment. And let's see if this one pulls up correctly. Hopefully. Gosh, I really hope so. Ah, success. It works. Great. So let's go ask ChatGPT because now I'm questioning my sanity again. I don't know what's going on. Maybe this one works now. No, this works. We're just going to keep going on this one. I will fix the code and push it later so that way the one that we were working on works. Okay, but where I left off before we were trying to figure out caching issues was I was trying to ask ChatGPT to do things for me. And for whatever reason, the old project is just not working. And I'm really glad I have a working project. So now we can actually do things and not spend an hour again on this. But yes, that is exactly what we had to do. So I hate servers. But right. So right now this is general Q&A where tell me about dogs, finally. And I think what's going to happen is that it's actually going to replace this and not retain. Yeah. So it didn't keep the original chat, even though we have a file that's doing that for us. So we need to add that functionality in. Yeah. And we also want to perhaps change these where it's consistent enough. But it's given us a nice quick little summary. It didn't have the original prompt that we had of the seating and anything like that. When we take a break, I'm going to go look into why perhaps things are being weird. Now I'm like, I want to try and see if it was just a caching issue. But I think that'll eat time on our stream, and I really want you all to get to a point where you could actually use this. But let's go explore the code then. So if we are going to pick up, let's go look at what this code is doing. It's gross code because I was trying to like proof of concept that we could actually do things. But if we go here, this is old chat history. As you can see, there's quite a bit of chat history on the left because that's what's been going on with saving them as a file. The way we could capitalize on this, of course, is then say like every time we access the file or use whatever the local variable is, then like render it. But as we can see, we have, let's go ahead and wrap. Let's see, I think, yeah, there we go. So we have our test question that we asked originally. Excuse me. We have a date and time. We have that it tells us it was the bot that answered, and they asked how can they help us. And then we said, tell me about ducks. And it stores all this extra information that it rendered for us on the front end. But I believe we actually only ever really had this section. Let me double check. The last section is overall dogs are amazing. Oh, JK. It gave us all of this, which is quite a bit. But it didn't give us the nice like formatting of new lines, etc. It just kind of spit it out on the page. Not the best, not user-friendly. How do we fix that? And also, like, what if we want to ask more questions and we're like, hey, do more with it, right? And so rather than just getting the first message, which I think I would want to do, here's this commented out bit of code that we need to take a look at. But I'm going to just garbage output this because I'm curious. I want to see what happens when we just say, give us the output choices instead of just these individual things. I think it might break it actually on purpose, but that's okay. And while we're at it, will it change things? Because I do have the debugging server stuff, but I don't know that it'll actually. Doesn't tell me anything actually, which is not helpful. Let's see. Oh, because I didn't save. It would help if I saved. Let's see. I'm just refreshing it on the other page to see if it will. Ooh, it retains that. Very nice. I actually don't know what the output of these is, and I'm realizing I should go look at the documentation. So we're gonna go do that. Let's go pull up OpenAI docs reference. All right. Let me zoom in for the people at home. All right, so we know we're working with the completions function. These are legacy-ish, where we're doing a post request at completions. We've given it a model. We haven't given it a prompt. I don't know if this is actually what I'm using. Is it? I want about chat.completions.create. Let's see. Let's go here, installation, APIs, making requests, streaming. Okay, so this is if we want to stream the request. Okay, this is probably what we want to look at. Okay, so if we were getting things as a stream, which we're not, we would for loop. Okay, but what if I don't want to stream? What if I just want the response? I don't. Tell me more about the chat completions API. Chat completion chunk object. Streamed chunk of chat provided by the input. Choices. Here we go. I wanted to know more about this choices array. Can contain more than one elements if n is greater than 1. Can be empty for the last chunk if you set include usage true. Finish reason when we want it to stop. Okay. A list of chat completion choices. So maybe we don't need to worry about uncommenting, or we don't need to worry about commenting these things. We have the message content. Response message. Actually, will it replace what I've asked? That's another question. Tell me about cats. I expect that this will actually replace what we have in here. I think. And based on that functionality, yes. Okay, cool. So we have tell me about cats, so it replaces it. So let's go update the HTML instead and see what happens. So currently we have that we're sending a message, and then that we have that we're getting the chat and Wikibot. Let's go ahead and close that because it's being written to, and I don't want to create a race condition or something. Okay. Message. What if we do not wiki, but past messages equals ChatGPT output? That is not, well, it is a global variable, but I don't like that. Let's do chat history. Let's see what it gives us. And then let's also do a for loop. If I can find my bracket key, which I can't, for answer in answers. I don't think this is going to work because I think what's going to happen is it's going to render all the individual, what's it called? You know what? Let's go dot split. Yeah, let's go split that by new lines. Okay. Let's go see. I don't. Whoops, daisy. Enter. Tell me about cats. I don't think the update's going to go through. I think I need to restart the server, but I really want to test this. Dogs. Okay, cool. So I need to restart the server. Grr. Dogs. Cats. I just want to see if it'll. Why aren't you giving me my history? What's the point of getting history if you're not going to render it? Past messages. Oh. Duh. It's because I'm not using the right. Message. It would help if I use the right name. Whoa. Go ahead and restart. Dogs. Here we go. Now it's rendering what we want. All right, so the thing is, it is rendering it in the correct order of adding it to things, but we actually need to flip that. So what's it called? We're going to do gross things in code. I want to have it be flipped, I think, which I think is this way. I might be splicing that wrong. I'm curious if it'll do it, actually. Go ahead and refresh it. Give me the same stuff. Actually, let's just restart. I want to have a clear interaction with it. So it's not that it creates a chat history with every question, but it does with every time I restart the server. And that's just because of the tutorial that I was like following along with, and that's the way that they did it, which I didn't like. But that's something that we can actually fix as like a proof of concept of like, instead of creating a new file, we wanted to use the old file to maintain our history, for example. But that's a small fix that we can do. Tell me about dogs. Great. Now tell me about parrots. And what I really want is that parrots will come first. Then there's, okay. So the thing with chat history is that it is going to give us, oh, I see. So here's an end-to-end side effect. But coming back to the original point. Okay. So we're asking about parrots. It gives us this nice rendering of the answer. Great. This is us reversing the chat history where it tells us about parrots. Then it tells us more. And then it says, hey, you asked about parrots. And then there's the stuff from that. So here's the downside. It does not keep the chat in the order of who has said what and what the thing was. So that way you can actually have content instead of like literally reversing it. So let's go back and fix that some more. Because that was a very naive implementation. It might also be how we write it, where actually we're at the hour. We could take a break. How about we chat a little more about what we want to do, and then we take a 10-minute break and come back and fix up that history. So what we want to do is get more of a rendering like this, where we have whatever the question was, and then of course whatever the answer is, but then we also see preceding questions and answers as we go. And instead of reversing the list like I did, because I was just like, just show me that things work, right? We don't want to do this garbage. Instead, we want to fix it so that way the file maybe is rendered differently. So if we go, as you can see, there's a ton of times that I've restarted the server, right? So currently we have the timestamp, we have the user in dogs, we have when it answers us, and then it asks us a new question, which maybe we do or don't want. And then we have all these. And so currently I have this split as far as the answers go, but maybe it's that I want to split it by the timestamp instead, to ensure that I maintain like that chunk of data at a time instead of like going by new lines. Because if we look at what the new lines are, I'm looking for /n and I'm looking at regex. If we look at the new lines are at the end of most every message, and it's not consistent about when you're working with like ChatGPT versus when maybe I'm adding a false new line in somehow, some way, all that kind of stuff. And so instead I would want to split it by the regex or by this like timestamp user : whatever they've said. There are ways to get around this, though, where maybe somebody could add a timestamp to their ChatGPT question or other aspects. And so we might consider a custom way of cutting things off, or, again, using a list, which would easily solve this problem because everything is then going to be contained in that list, right? We would just have to render it as a string when passing it in as far as chat history and context goes. So there's a couple places we would need to make those changes. But let me go ahead and write that down because I'm going to forget. So we first Um, want to render chat in order from, we probably want it from recent to chat history in order of most recent to least recent, which means I can type. We want to update this like past messages in HTML file. We also want to update how chat history is stored to become an array. So then we just have for every new input from either user or bot, that's a new array, like index in the array. We call that like speaker turn in my field of sorts. And then as far as any other updates, let's double check. We need to update how we're storing it in the file. And bonus, make only one file, not new files every time we start the server, for example, or restart or refresh the page or whatever. I don't think we'll actually get to that one in time, but we have a few key things. But the point is, ChatGPT works again. I don't know what was going wrong in the other one. I will spend the time later today to fix that one and then post that on GitHub because I think there's something silly I've done that has messed that up. But we've been at this for about an hour with my, of course, already functional code. Yay, saved us some heartache. Yeah, this is a great idea. So what if we use a session to store the history in a list? And that would be a great next idea. Remember, again, I'm thinking about if I were to make this project accessible to, say, new users, new coders, new programmers, new hackers, would they know about session history? And that's something that they could potentially add as a feature of them learning about session history. And so that is, again, there are many ways to do this differently, to do this even better than what we're currently doing. And one of those things is, of course, to use a session, some form of cookies or whatever, which great idea. You should do that. The only reason I'm not is more so because when people are first learning things, they're often working with files. So there's a couple key concepts in this work, namely in working with files, even though I didn't really go over that because things didn't work for some reason. Go figure. Working with data structures, APIs, all that kind of stuff. But yes, a session, very good idea. Highly recommend that. The more advanced you go, the more you'll learn about it. For the purposes and intent of our work, I just didn't feel like doing a session. But that's something that we could look at for workshop 3 as we do quality of life updates to this, being like, okay, we've done it as a hackathon project. Now what? How do we make this better now that we have all the time in the world, for example? But like I said, let us take a break. 10 minutes should do it. Let me do this. Put this somewhere that you can see it, but you're not impacted in case you want to. I'll leave actually the file stuff in case people want to take a look at it because that really didn't change too much. I just don't know why things weren't working on our side of things. That explicit role bit, I just don't know. But yeah, so 10 minutes. We'll be back and we'll wrap up this one. At least we got ChatGPT working by cheating. It's not really cheating though, it's just preparation ahead of time. Cool. With that, take that 10-minute break, get some water, get a snack, all that kind of stuff, and we'll close up for the day within about 30 or 45 minutes. Okay. We've got about 30 minutes left, but I really only want to take like 20. So let's wrap this up and get this to a little bit of a cleaner state. Reminding you that you can do a lot with chat completions. That this is not the only way to do things. You can change the prompt, you can change how you use things, etc. I appreciate everyone's patience today too, because I am definitely tired and it's showing in my like logic and reasoning. So I'm a little sad that I didn't get to do as much today, but it is what it is. So this is why we wrote steps for ourselves, because I didn't remember what I wrote. To be fair, you only missed half of part one. Half of part one was us debugging a form that we forgot to send a post request from. Rip us. But I mean, it shows that like debugging is sometimes even the simple things. And yeah. So props to you though for showing up for part two, even though you didn't have part one, and that you're trying your best to follow along. It takes a lot of confidence, a lot of motivation, to be honest. Because every time I have these long bugs, even I'm disillusioned, and I'm like, man, I don't want this again. I don't want to get stuck again. I don't want to disappoint people. But am I learning? Yes, it is actually very helpful for me. If I can just, if it is helpful for me, I just wish I could do better. All right. So we want to render chat history in the order of the most recent to least recent, which means we can probably just get, let's call it ordered chat history. Now let's go make it. So we said, what did we just name it? Ordered chat history. This is now ordered chat history. Okay, let's go make it. We want to render chat history in order of most recent to least recent. Now let's go find all the instances of chat history. Let's go to the very beginning. When we first create chat history, we name it something. We're not going to change how it's a single file just yet. But we don't need this file stuff right now. So let's jump ahead. Now we have initializing the history. Originally, we were doing empty quotes. To make this a list, just do that. Okay. But whenever we use chat history, it's expecting a string here. So I don't remember how to do this in Python, but I'm pretty sure to cast it, it's just like wrap a string around it or something. But I'm going to Google that. Python casting, I just want to convert it to a string. I mean, technically in JavaScript, you just add quotes and all that. Yeah. I want to do like an implicit cast, I think. Yeah, or you know what? Array to string Python. That's what it is I'm looking for. Convert list to string dot join. That's what I was looking for. Okay. So when we get chat history, we're going to do dot join. And so let's see what Copilot's giving us. It's giving us spaces. Yeah, that's technically fine. We're just adding a space. Let's give it a new line though. I'd rather do a new line instead of a space, because then we're only going to get one very long line. And that's how it's, I think that's how it is actually working, is that it's getting, yeah, there's new lines. Yeah. So we do want it to join all these as a new line, unless our arrays have new lines in them, which yes, it technically does. So we don't actually need a space so much as an empty quote, which is now what we have. Okay, so we have a string of our array list. Where else is chat history used? So we have it here as a global variable, nothing to do there. We have where we're adding, as we would have originally appending it to a string. So instead of doing that, let's do dot append, not extend, the formatted string. Okay, and then where else are we using it? Right here, same deal. Change that to append and add a closing mark there. And then where else are we using chat history? We have chat history there, chat history there. Now we have the files. Okay, so presumably we have finished updating this chat history to be an array. what I want to do now, so we've done this. We haven't done that bit, but we have updated how it's stored. Are we updating how it's stored in files? Do we really need to? Oh, right. No, this is to, no, this was fine. I don't actually think we needed to update how it was stored in files. The only change we wanted to make was make it be one file to gather from. So let's delete that. That might be important. We'll find out later. As far as wanting to render chat history in the order of most recent to least recent, currently we understand that when chat history is added, it's going and saying, okay, here's your new message, and all the other preceding messages are on top. So there's different ways we could render this. In a normal chatbot, we would want it to be in order of appearance, in order in which it's received. In the case of perhaps the way that we want to do things, which is just like just show us our past searches, kind of like when you're typing in Google and it autofills and says, you know, here's your recent searches or something. That same idea is what we're kind of getting at, just to show like, hey, this is kind of different. Is it good UX? Remains to be determined. Who knows? Probably not, to be honest. But I wanted to show like this is how we can change what we know is a simple or expected way of displaying data into something that we can actually do something with. So we have our array. We know that it's saving the roles. So I think we might actually, just as a test, Copilot's giving it to us. So let's see what happens. We currently have past messages. Let's go double check that in index. We have the original message. Let's delete this for now. And then we have for message in past messages. Okay. So logically, we will not have a repeat anymore. Right? Right? Maybe? We'll find out. All right, let's go ahead and run that and see what we end up getting for our efforts. That went surprisingly smoothly, which means that things are not going to go smoothly. I expect this to be very broken and hate us. Did I not? Oh boy, things are in fact broken, like I said they would be. Terminal. I didn't delete something correctly. I deleted the wrong thing. Okay, here we go. Let's go ahead and restart that. See, there, it works now. Okay, so tell me about dogs. Error, love it. No attribute join. Yay. A plus me. What did I goof? Chat history. What? I made an array. I made an array, right? Yes, we said array. We said join. We said append. List object has Python list object has no attribute join. That's why. I did it in the wrong order. Copilot, how could you? I'm not surprised. This is why you don't. Yeah, that's my bad. Alrighty. I mixed up the order. A plus. I always do that with Python. I always logically to me, I'm like variable that is the array dot join all of the pieces in the array, but it reads differently because somebody made that choice somewhere and I disagree with it. All right, we have a get request. Tell me about dogs. Show me pictures of a dog. Render something. Plus. Oh boy. That did not work. Yeah, that would do it. Chat history dot replace. Okay, so what I'm seeing is that we actually should do this. Not like that. Do we do anything else with chat history in these? No, there's no changes to that. Perfect. So we should actually be doing it here where we join it. Where else is chat history used? No. Okay. Output, pass in the history, output. That's fine. Let's try that again. Refresh. No, just. I cannot spell dogs anymore. Well, it's rendering something. It's giving me an empty string. So it's just not giving me what I want. Hooray! We broke it. Never surprised. All right, order chat history. Reorder that. That's fine. Let's go back. Chat history. If message, for message and past messages. And for else no answers. Okay, that hasn't changed. Ordered chat history is equal to chat history reversed. Question. When we do splicing like that, does it do it in place or does it set it equal to things? That is the question. Let's use dot reverse. Dot reverse. And then while we're at it, let's double check if that's in place or not. Python reverse list API documentation. Give me the documentation. Ooh, would really, really like documentation. Where's Python's data structures? Reverse. Reverse is in place. All right. Python reverse. Reverse method. Create a slice. Is this in place or no? Reverse elements in the container. Yes, I know that. I found that out. I want to know about when you do a splice-based reverse. Okay. When you're doing splices, it doesn't change the list, but it returns the reverse slice, which is what should be happening, and yet it's not. Because we're not using reverse. We should not. It will be in place. Okay, so this should actually be setting it. Let's go double check the chat history. Interesting. It is, in fact, saving things. It's just not rendering things. This is outrageous. What could possibly be going on? Is it because we haven't sent enough? Go back to get chat. We don't need that. All right. In chat history, we do append things. We also get the raw output. And then we append the output to chat history. And then we write stuff to a file. We write the user input. And we write the output. And we get the content. That's fine. We pass the chat history in as it is. Let's see. Chat completion passes in chat history as a string. And then from chat completion, we replace name with no space, no content. Then we have the output, which is equal to the raw output. Okay, I see. Why do you not like me? I know how to code, I promise. Evidently not. So I'm goofing pretty hard. Let's go double check index. If the message exists. What is message? Let's go double check that. Message. Yeah, that's fine. That means that we will get things. Okay. For message in past messages. Let's go move this over here so don't keep asking that. Past messages is equal to ordered chat history, which ordered chat history is going to be the reversed list, which I think we did it wrong, actually. I think we need to, like, jump over one or, like, do it by two. There's some other reversions. Maybe I should just save it as... and we'll come back to that. Finish the first problem. You know what? Maybe we don't do it in this order and we just take it as is and we just keep adding to the history instead and we just keep having to scroll down. Or, oh, you know what we could do? We could move this above and then we don't have to order anything. Oops. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Nothing like adapting on the fly. What is a hackathon if not adapting? I do want the past messages actually, but I don't need. Just give me the chat history. Just give me the chat history. Let's go restart that. While we're at it, let's go close that. Good. And done. Never a dull day. Doggies. Okay, it's working again. What happened to my form? Where did my form go? Why did it replace my form? You should give me my form? Oh, it's because, you know what? That's why. I forgot a piece. There we go. Whoops. Yeah, all right, let's go restart. Dogs. Tell me about dogs. I really miss my dogs. Tell me about cats. Yeah, it's such a simple solution. I tried to make it harder than it needed to be. Like, yeah, this is fine, but I want it to be unique, and it's fine. Tell me about parrots. Great. We have our chat. Fantastic. We have our chat history as well. I'm wondering if we can, in like 3 minutes, make it functional. Alrighty. Let's clean this up because I hate looking at this and how horrible it is. This should be tabbed. Tab. I wonder if a dictionary would work better. Maybe that's a challenge for people to think about working on. So that way you have like a user array and then a chat array. But then what if there are many ways to make a problem harder, which I have exhibited for the last 2 streams. Just go ahead and close that. All right. You know what? I think this is a good point to quit while we're ahead. I'm not going to post the like cheat sheet. Well, yeah. What I will probably do is do a modified version. So I'm going to go back to the original project, figure out what's broken there, fix that. And I will hopefully within the next hour post or like push all the functional stuff to get where it has the file stuff. It has the stuff that we've done in stream today. Just because I couldn't get it working quickly enough that I didn't want to detract from a quality experience, especially when I'm like, well, I have a functioning most of the project anyway. But once I do, you're welcome to obviously fork it, push or pull things, etc. But I challenge you to make your own implementation, make it prettier, figure out how to change maybe the history of chat messages to like a nice dictionary that would use like user versus the bot role. So that way you can actually render the messages quite nicely as if you were to use a chat. It's a great way to practice your design skills, that kind of stuff. But as an alternative, you're welcome, now that you have functional QA, basically, now you can think about like, well, what if I want to precede the AI, or I want to set specific restrictions, like, oh, I want you to develop like a travel blog kind of like post or something like that. And so fiddle with the parameters of OpenAI. So that would be here. So fiddle with these parameters. Like, what changes does that make? So you can really get an understanding of what you're doing with the AI model, of course. But then also consider like, how much of a difference does preceding an AI model really make on the things that you want to do? Because right now we haven't preceded anything. There's a couple of prompts that I have in my original thing that I'm not actually using, which a great way to manage that might be that, again, preceding it being like, well, where do you put it? Does it go in chat history? Does it go elsewhere? Which I do know the answer to that, but I am like encouraging you all to search things on your own, kind of thinking about how you use ChatGPT on your own and how you use it on the daily, and then programmatically, how do you mimic that? Because that's what this is doing right now. But again, things that I see as far as project ideas is that a lot of people will do things with resume reviews, where they'll precede ChatGPT to be an expert resume reviewer for a specific job description or other aspects, which may require a number of form entries. There are ways to modify this to fit your needs, which was the point of this. We do have one more stream tomorrow, I believe. I believe in the evening, at least as far as if you're in the US or in those time zones. But what that means is we're going to be pretty much wrapping up, setting context, fixing any last bugs, because I certainly introduced a number of them, and then maybe play around with CSS to clean it up a bit. And then, of course, like if you're working on stuff, like tell me in chat tomorrow so that way I can pull it up on stream and show off your work. I love doing that to elevate the people who have come and shown up and followed along. I know it's pretty hectic because I create bugs. I create bugs. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Yeah, sure. But yeah, thanks for your patience as always, and looking forward to closing out this project with a much more functional project, I hope. But yeah, if the push doesn't come within the hour, it'll probably be later tonight. But you'll have plenty of time tomorrow to work on it, whether it's that you're up late tonight, my time, or that you have a chance tomorrow morning when you wake up, if you're, again, in my time zones. Otherwise, flip it for if you're on the opposite side of the world. Yeah. So with that, any last questions? I want to give that chance before we close up. No questions. Oh, we blow bubble gums and fight bugs. Honestly, yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, Grayish Sheep, and a number of you who have stepped in to be helpful and be active. That certainly helped move this along a lot better. Definitely help with the debugging process. And like, again, yeah, like yesterday's stream was super helpful because we had a lot of people just chiming in with different ideas to try. And so it was nice to not be the only one coming up with things to solve, because I can only run my brain so hard so fast. Yeah. But take the 10 minutes before next stream. I don't even actually know if there's another stream coming up, but if there is, take the opportunity to take a break. I always encourage those because, as you can see, I definitely needed a break, and the stream suffered because of it. I need some rest, so I will probably be going to bed early tonight. But with that, have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks again for stopping by. See you.